Uh-oh. Okay, we'll start with this. This Friday, the inaugural undisputed flyweight champion, Gabby Fundora of Coachella, California, will be returning to action in defense of her undisputed crown for the first time against her mandatory challenger and unbeaten up-and-comer from south of the border, Mikaelian Badillo. Talented youngster, at least talented up until this point. But she, like many fighters in the flyweight division, will find herself in a compromising situation opposite the ring, Gabby Fundora, who sports an unblemished record of 15 wins with no losses, no draws, 7 knockouts. She's a heavy hitter, good for a knockout, and if not a knockout, at least a knockdown. To Mikaelian Badillo, who sports a professional record of 19 wins with no losses, 1 draw, 3 knockouts. Comparatively, not as big a puncher as Gabby. She has more professional bouts, but not against the same kind of fighters that Gabby's fought. It's a quality over quantity kind of deal, to where Gabby doesn't have as many fights as Mikaelian, but the fighters that she has fought are better than the fighters that Mikaelian has fought. It's nothing against Marilyn, but compared to Gabby's opponents, Marilyn's opponents are pedestrian. Last in action in December of last year, opposite the ring, Graciela Aguilar, who she beat by way of a unanimous decision in what was an 8-rounder. Marilyn saw action 3 times last year, once in March, again in July, then again in December. And thus, ring rust won't be an issue for Marilyn, won't be an issue for Gabby either. Gabby last saw action in November of last year opposite the ring, then unified champion Gabriela Alanis, who she stopped in the 7th round of a contest scheduled for 10. She also saw action 3 times last year, just like Marilyn. She fought in January, she fought in August, then she fought again in November for what was the undisputed crown. Her quality of competition really is head and shoulders above Marilyn's. She's already fought 2 reigning world champions in Arely Musinho and Gabriela Alanis, taken their titles from them, stopped them both, stopped a standout amateur, then unbeaten Cristina Cruz of Puerto Rico, and beat up a seasoned veteran in Daniela Asenjo. I don't know how Daniela finished that fight on her feet. Questions as to whether or not Mikaelian Badillo is going to. Mikaelian is a talented fighter, make no mistake. A mover, a counter-puncher. Skillful one. You see how she moves around and creates space to walk the other girl into punches as she is coming on. Defensively, she's very good. Angling off and rolling with the punches, rolling and countering, bringing other punches over. The issue is, any girl opposite the ring, Gabby Fundora, may see those characteristics stripped away by the uniqueness of the circumstances that Gabby is an exceptionally tall flyweight. She towers over everyone in the division to the point where no matter how you fight with other girls, you end up in the same boat as everybody else opposite the ring, Gabby Fundora. So where Mikaelian Badillo is a skilled mover and a counterpuncher, defensively sound, opposite the ring, Gabby, she can't afford to hang back. She can't afford to box from the outside because she'll be a sitting duck out there. Sitting duck? But when a fighter is that much taller than you are and longer than you are, they don't need to be close to you to touch you. So you may still be within striking distance of them. They are not within striking distance of you. So if you decide to backpedal and work off the counter, you're giving them a clear target they can still hit. And that's if you decide to hang back. If you decide to come forward and crash the pocket, Gabby is not just a tall drink of water, she's a tall drink of boxing. She knows how to manage the distance with the lead hand. Walk the opponent into punches if they decide to come forward. If they throw caution to the wind. From out of the southpaw stance, using the jab, Gabby doesn't hold her feet, which makes her that much more difficult to get to if you are trying to crowd her.
To crash the pockets.
So what you normally got to do with a fighter that's that much taller than you are is try to get close to them. The issue here is Gabby doesn't get flustered mid-range to inside like some other statuesque fighters.
If you want to bang, she can oblige you.
It's really not as simple as getting close to Gabby and letting punches go. Gabby can handle herself within close quarters.
Body shots, counter hooks, uppercuts up the middle. She can handle herself in the crawl space.
So it's a very dangerous proposition trying to crowd her, but it's an even more dangerous proposition hanging back, trying to stay on the outside. She's too tall and too long for you to do that.
Too strong.
So this is what I mean when I say that an otherwise tactical fighter and technical fighter may have those characteristics stripped away against Gabby because of the uniqueness of the situation.
That you're on the same boat as the rest of her opponents. You have to try to get close to her.
Because you ain't got the height or the length to box her from the outside. Very few fighters do. I can't think of any off the top of my head in the flyweight division or the super flyweight division, where I anticipate Gabby will campaign in the not-so-distant future. As far as this Friday's fight, I imagine it's gonna look like a lot of Gabby's other fights, like the Daniela Asenjo fight, the Areli Musinho fight. It's gonna look like those fights, to where Gabby's just having it all her way, landing hard punches, and overpowering her opponent.
It's really just a question of, does she decision Mikaelian Badillo over 10 rounds, or does she stop her inside the distance?
Neither would surprise me, but conservatively, I'm going with Gabby to win. I'm going with Gabby to stay the undisputed flyweight champion this Friday on a Golden Boy Promotions show that she is headlining. Gabby to win is the pick.
Elsewhere in the world of boxing, boxing insider Rick Glacier reacted to this past weekend's fight in Atlantic City, the welterweight unification match between Jarron Ennis and Eimantas Stanionis, and he reacted by saying,
"Very impressed with Boots Ennis. Fought by far his best guy. Eddie Hearn is doing well by Boots, including fighting 3 times in just 9 months. Only critique, Eddie Hearn don't bring Boots to AC. I know it's more expensive promotionally in Philly, but build him up in Philadelphia, and the people will come."
I don't look at that as being an either-or situation, because so long as Jarron Ennis is fighting more than once a year, then he can do both. He can do one fight in his native Philly and another in Atlantic City. That sorely needs big-time boxing to come back to its shores.
In previous eras of boxing, places like Atlantic City used to host more big-time boxing matches and more world title fights than you see in the modern era. So if what this is a push from Matchroom to make Atlantic City the regular site of some of Jarron Ennis' fights, I'm not against it. I'm all for it. He's getting rave reviews for his 6th round knockout of Eimantas Stanionis, who most anticipated would be his toughest opponent to date.
Beat that guy easy. Won every round and forced him to retire in his corner.
And per usual, whenever an American fighter has a halfway decent showing, the boxing community at large has a tendency to get carried away. I saw an Instagram user that goes by the name Javier Orozco say, "Take Kenshiro Taraji off the top 10 spot of the Ring Pound for Pound rankings and add Jarron Ennis."
Why?
Then I came across another post from the Boxing Voice where it would appear that Stephen Breadman Edwards is saying that Boots belongs on the pound for pound list. Yeah, I said it.
Really? Just like that? Off of one unification match?
I mean, Yanni Beck Kanalai is already a unified champion. Boots didn't do anything this weekend that Yanni Beck didn't already do. Didn't do anything that Fernando Puma Martinez didn't already do. He was a unified champion too. Kenshiro Taraji is a unified champion and has been a unified champion at more weights than Boots. 2 to Boots' 1. So why should Boots be there ahead of them?
Because he's American.
They're not going to say that. They're not going to package it that way. They're going to package it like they're talking about Boots' boxing, when really it's just more veiled partiality. They're always in a hurry to cram as many American fighters on a pound-for-pound list for no real reason other than they're American. Because if it's about unified champions...
Zerto is a unified champion.
And not just a unified champion. He's been a champion at 2 weights, and he's currently unified.
It's simple. If the reaction to Boots becoming a unified champion this weekend is that he should be placed on the pound-for-pound list, what about all the other fighters you're not talking about? If unifying 2 alphabet titles is enough to get him on, then shouldn't that get them on as well?
Now, if you were to ask one of these guys that question, that follow-up, what it would then devolve into is a conversation about their own feelings. The evaluation doesn't come from a logical place, it comes from an emotional one. It's not based on facts and stats.
It's not based on quantifiable data to be fair and even to everyone. It comes from emotion, comes from partiality.
That's why so many foreign fighters are so easily dismissed in spite of, at times, being more accomplished than their American counterparts. Consider that Inoue had to become an undisputed champion 2 times and a champion in 4 divisions before the Americans even acknowledged him.
When Usyk became an undisputed champion in what was a very deep cruiserweight division, winning all those belts on the road as the away fighter, the Americans didn't acknowledge him.
But let an American fighter unify once, just once, and that's enough to get him on, ahead of an entire slew of fighters that have a more credible argument than he does, for no other reason than your feelings.
That's all it is.
You can't have an adult conversation with people that have the temperance of a small child, always subject to their emotions, their feelings, no hierarchy of thought, no logic.
I can only tell you what I think.
That's it.
And if you want to know what I think, and you're here, so I'll assume that you do, Boots is not yet a pound-for-pound fighter, and I see no reason to eject Kenshiro Taraji from the number 10 spot on the Ring IQ pound-for-pound list because Boots unified a title. Kenshiro already did that. He did it twice.
It will take more than that for Jarron Ennis to get on. He may have to unify 3 alphabet titles before he's even up for consideration because many of the fighters on this list are already more accomplished than he is. Their quality of competition is head and shoulders better, head and shoulders above his. It's not easy to get on, but it's not supposed to be.
What some people are going to tell you is that it's a pound-for-pound list, not an accolades list. But how the hell would you know that a fighter is one of the most skilled fighters in the world if he doesn't have accolades, or if he doesn't have as many as somebody else?
Then by what metric are you gauging his skill? By what metric are you rating him? Your feelings?
What the hell are you, a 5-year-old?
You don't think that he should have to get out there and show it? Get out there and prove it the way everybody else has to. You want to fast-track him.
It's always the same, and it's always the same people.
I can't be bothered to have a boxing conversation, if you even want to call it that, with one of these guys. But what I will say is, Boots is a ways out from getting on my list, and beating a Montestenionis is not enough.
Sorry.
In men's cruiserweight news, WBC champion Badou Jack is chipping away ahead of his WBC cruiserweight title defense against Noel Mikaelian in Riyadh on May 3rd. Badou Jack, I think he's 42 years old now, and 2 years removed from the sport of boxing. Opposite the ring, the former champion Noel Mikaelian, a somewhat late replacement.
To where Badou Jack may lose his world champion status just as easily as he got it.
He basically dropped the belt to see if he could become a champion at Bridgerweight, and that took all of 2 years. Nothing happened, so he could return to the cruiserweight division and be reinstated as champion
in place of Noel Mikaelian, who was labeled a champion in recess due to reported promotional issues with Don King, who still is his promoter.
Well, then what was the issue?
It wasn't Don King. It was that he had to fight Ryan Rositsky, and underneath it all, he didn't want to. He was looking for a way out, and he finally did.
I mean, we've been all through this. I'm left wondering, what happens if Badou Jack keeps the belt, and what happens if he doesn't? The biggest and the best money for a fighter Badou Jack's age is in Saudi Arabia, that if you actually come through this thing, and you win, and you stay champion,
the most money out there for you is a unification match with Jai Opataya financed by Turkey El Al Sheikh, and presumably in Saudi. That's the most money you can get, but that's a dangerous fight.
Second best fight you can have is a Zurdo Ramirez fight, presumably promoted by Golden Boy Promotions, but I don't think that fight would pay as much, even though it's for more alphabet titles, because Zerto's got 2, whereas Jai only has 1.
The Jai fight pays better because it would be in Saudi.
I guess you just have to wonder, if Badou Jack wins, which direction will he go in, because he has more than one option to unify. And what if Jack loses? What if Noel Mikaelian takes the green and gold belt away from him? What does he do?
The amount of time that he spent avoiding Ryan Rositsky doesn't give me the impression that he would be in a rush to fight somebody like Jai. If you were that worried about Ryan...
With Jai, it's even worse. So I wonder, if Noel wins in May and he becomes full WBC champion again, will he fight Jai Opataya, or will he go in another direction?
He may be of German descent, but he's based out of Miami. He's based in America.
Promoted by Don King, you have to wonder if Noel won't make a decision to unify titles with Zerto instead, because he might identify Zerto as being more beatable than Jai, but for less money.
You have to wonder.
You also have to wonder where David Benavidez fits into this picture, because every member of his team has been dropping hints that he could soon be moving up to cruiserweight. They've been talking a lot about a Zerto Ramirez fight, but who's to say they won't fight either Badou Jack or Noel Mikaelian?
Say that Badou Jack wins in May.
Who's to say that Team Benavidez won't try to fight him in the fall or winter months? For them, that would be ideal because of Badou Jack's age and because Badou is not a true cruiser. He's a smaller fighter who moved up in weight. So who's to say Team Benavidez wouldn't go after him?
Or Noel.
There are so many ways this could break down based on the outcome of May's fight. It's hard to tell what's going to happen. The saving grace, I think, is, one way or another, we're gonna get unification matches. I think we are. I'm just not sure that they're going to involve Jai Opataya.
He's the most dangerous, and thus, there is potential they may try to freeze him out. Freeze him out by fighting each other. Though all the same, if they do fight each other, we still get unifications. So it ain't all bad.
For Noel Mikaelian, if he wins in May, there's not much money in just having the WBC title. You already had that. You have to put it on the line against one of the other champions to make real money. So he's gonna unify with one of them, I think. As strategic as he has been, if he wants to make real money, he's got to pick his poison.
He's got to roll the dice.
Roll the dice with Jai Opataya in Saudi, roll the dice with Zerto in America. To make money, you got to gamble.
That's the good news, that one way or another, we may still get unification matches. They just might not involve Jai Opataya.
All the cruiserweight champions are spoken for. Jai Opataya has a fight coming up. Zerto has a fight coming up. Now Badou.
With plenty of time left to spare, there will be enough time left after all of those fights to do at least one unification match before this year is out. It's just a question of who's going to unify.
Now, balls to bone, I think that Jai Opataya would be the favorite over all of them. He'd be the favorite over Jack, for obvious reasons, but he would also be the favorite over Noel Mikaelian. I think he would still be the favorite over Zerto Ramirez.
And perhaps that's the reason he's the one they might freeze out. That he's the one they are avoiding.
It's going to be interesting to see how this breaks down. Many possible scenarios.
We'll see what happens.